Hi, my name is Sissy, and I want to welcome you to my show, Getting Healthy with Sis. I am married to my hunky husband, Matt, and together we own a fitness and nutrition coaching studio in Lakeland, Florida called Restoration Fitness and Nutrition. We have 2 little boys, and I've been a nutrition coach for 5 years, helping countless people to revamp their lives and see amazing results implementing one healthy habit at a time. My passion is to help women just like me realize they don't have to be a victim to poor eating habits and poor health. Instead, through proper education and empowerment, they can take control of their health and live the healthiest and happiest life possible. As you tune into my show, I promise you're going to learn new things about your health. You're going to be inspired to take action towards your goals, and you're going to have a ton of fun along the way. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Getting Healthy with Sis show. I sincerely hope that you have been enjoying this month, the month of October, as my husband and I have been diving into our story of what it has looked like and the experience that we've had in losing 2 pregnancies back to back. So if you've been listening along this month, you know that October is Pregnancy Loss Awareness Month, and so that's why we wanted to spend a little bit of time this month just dedicating it to sharing our story. And I'm a really big proponent in vulnerability. I think that when we're all real and we're sharing our lives, like other people, we can connect with people better, and I get to connect with you better, and you get to connect with me better when you know a little bit more about me. I'm not just a gym owner or a nutrition coach, but I'm a mom. I'm a woman with real feelings that's been through real things. And so a huge part of our heart has just been to open up and kind of let you in on our life and our stories, the story of, my husband and I and our family over the last few years. So I hope that you have enjoyed this journey with us. I certainly hope that if you have been listening, that these stories have been uplifting and hope-filled. Today, you're going to get even more hope from what I share today as we share the story of how our son Wilson came to be, who is here with us today. But I really hope that you have been able to get good things out of it, no matter where you are on life's journey, no matter if you've lost a pregnancy before or if you just are a regular person that's like, no, I've been through really hard, sucky things before, and this has helped me. This, listening to this has helped me to know that I'm not alone and that I can get through it and overcome. So anyways, without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into the story of our rainbow after the storm, Wilson. So, I've had a few people reach out, and they've asked me, we did testing after we lost our son Benjamin, and if you haven't listened to those episodes yet, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to episode 14 and 15, because it gives context to this episode where we're talking about our son Wilson. But if you haven't done that, go back and listen so that you kind of know where I am in the storyline. But a few of you have reached out and have asked me, hey, did you guys ever find out what happened with George and Benjamin? And was there a reason or a cause to you losing them? And we did testing on Benjamin. We did testing on me. And there was nothing that the doctors could ever find. And after we lost Benjamin, we knew that we wanted to do testing just because we're like, this is really, really weird. What's going on? And we didn't find anything. And I kind of felt, before we even went down that road, I felt in my heart that they were not going to find anything. I just felt kind of settled on that. And I said at the end of the last episode on Benjamin, I shared this statement that has stuck with me through the years, that why is an invalid question that makes you an invalid. And that has just stuck with me, especially, when you go through things like what we've been through, or when you go through hard things, it's so easy to be like, why? Why did this happen? Why? If I can just know why, then I will be okay with it. And for me, I really felt like the Lord was like, hey, you're just going to have to surrender that and be okay that you never know why. And you're going to have to be okay with that, like, knowing that, like, I love you. Like, even when I allow pain and hard things to come in your life, like, I want you to know how much I love you. Like, that does not mean that I don't love you. And I can say with beyond a shadow of a doubt that I really have never felt the Lord's love for me so much so as I did walking through those two losses, which is just mind-blowing. It's so mind-blowing because you think when you go through pain, that's when you feel forsaken by God and mad at him. But I truly can say that I felt so loved by him, and I felt his love pursuing me and giving me a firm foundation to stand on. And so all that to say, we never found out why, but I have really come to accept that, like, this truly was and is a part of God's good plan and purpose in sanctifying me and in making me more like him and in actually giving me more of himself through circumstances that I would normally not want or not choose. So anyways, let's move on and let's talk a little bit about Benjamin, because he truly was our rainbow after the storm. So as we talked about a little bit at the end of episode 15, Benjamin's episode, I talked a little bit about how I did EMDR therapy with a licensed psychiatrist, and it was an investment. I was having to drive like almost 2 hours to his office every time that I met with him, and it was expensive, but it was something that I knew, like, I have to do this so that I can get right in my brain about, like, I don't want this trauma continuing to haunt me for the rest of my life. And I knew that I needed breakthrough and I needed help. And so thank God for that psychiatrist that we found that was really, really awesome. So, again, if you're someone that's listening and maybe you've had a friend go through this or you've gone through this, I want to encourage you to seek out help. That is going to be the help that you need. You might need talk therapy. If you're someone that, like, internally processes and you're really bad at getting this kind of stuff out, you might need talk therapy. You might need some EMDR to help kind of heal your brain a little bit and move that memory around so that it's not continuing to replay. So the EMDR, I did it, but Matt and I kind of always talked when I was going through it. I was like, we'll see if this works, but there's really only way to test it to see if it's working is when I get back in the situation where I'm pregnant again and to see if that's a really triggering thing for me or not. So we lost Benjamin in October of 2022. Really, went through that counseling and just, laying my heart before the Lord and, telling him, like, God, I want you to heal me. I want to come through on this on the other side with everything that you wanted to give me through this time. I want to receive that and grow in those things. And so, during that time, I really was in the book of Job a lot in the Bible and was learning a whole lot from him about what it's like to go through suffering and pain and how we're to carry our hearts through that. So I learned a ton through that. And, that kind of takes us into the spring of 2023. And Matt and I knew that we were not done trying to have children, but one of the things that I said to him was, I was like, I know without a shadow of a doubt that, like, I do not want to be the one that opens this door back up when I think that it's okay, because I know that if I open the door back up, or that if, we decide on our own will or own volition, like, hey, let's try to get pregnant again, and we have to walk through this a third time, I don't know how I will be. And so I need to know that I know that the Lord is the one that has said it is okay to open this door again. And I was like, I don't know how he's going to show us. I don't know how he's going to confirm that to our hearts. I was like, but I really want us to be on the same page. because I know that if the Lord is the one leading us through this door, and if we're going to get our hearts dashed again, but I know that his leadership is the one that led us, then I know that he's going to take care of us. But if it's just me being like, let's try again, and it's just, my own idea or whatever, I'm not going to be able to handle that if it goes wrong again. And so I would spend time, praying and journaling. And I remember there was a specific day, where I was sitting on our couch and I was just journaling, and I just wrote down specifically, Lord, I am really, really asking you to please show us, confirm to Matt and me when it's time to open this door again. Please just make it so clear, that we can't deny it, and we both have peace and we both have clarity about it. And until then, we're gonna wait. And a funny thing about our story is Maddie was a surprise baby, but George and Benjamin were totally planned. It was one of those things where Matt and I were like, hey, do you want to get pregnant? And we were like, sure. And so we tried that month and got pregnant. It was very and we kind of thought we've got this figured out, we've got our plan in place of how this works. And so that's still what we were doing, at that point. And so anyways, so I kind of knew whenever we decide that it's time to open that door again, we'll open it and it'll probably happen pretty quickly. So I was kind of thinking it was on us to make that call. And, or I really was thinking it was on us. I was thinking we were in control. Imagine that. Hey guys, I hope that you're enjoying the show, and I wanted to interrupt real quick just to invite you that if you are listening to this podcast on Apple Podcast, I would be so honored if you would go up in the top right-hand corner of your app and click the follow button. Then if you will scroll down and rate and write a review on the show, that would just make my day. I would love to hear from you, hear how the show is impacting you and how you're enjoying it. And with following the show, you're going to get notifications of every time I release a new episode. If you like to watch my show on YouTube, then I am inviting you to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Tell me what you're liking. Share this with your friends if you think that they can benefit from it. So I appreciate you listening in, and my goal is that this show will edify you and encourage you on the way to better health. So if it's doing that, then I'd love to have you along for the ride by subscribing, liking, sharing, following, commenting, reviewing, all the things that would make my day. So that brings us to about May of 2023. And I woke up early that morning, and it was Mother's Day. And I just felt like I wanted to go for a walk by myself. It was a beautiful morning, and I just felt like I want to go out and go for a walk and, be quiet and maybe have some time praying and just kind of waking up and the sun's rising and all of that kind of stuff. So I told Matt, I was like, I'm going to go for a walk by myself and whatever. So I went out, and I remember before I left, or as I was leaving the house that morning, I just had this very passing thought, I think I'm due to start, my cycle this weekend. Sorry if this is too much. It's real life though, reproductive life. So I was thinking, I think I'm supposed to start this morning or this weekend. And I always kept very clear. I kept up with those types of things. So I was like, I think I'm supposed to start. Well, I haven't yet, whatever. And then I just kept on moving, kept on going. And while I was out on my walk, I remember I was just praying, and I was thanking, because it was Mother's Day. So I remember specifically praying, and I was like, thank you, Lord, for the gift of being able to be a mother. And I was thanking God for Maddie, and I was thanking God for George, and thanking God for Benjamin, and thanking him for all that I had been through in my journey of being a mother. And then I was like, and Lord, I pray, God, we want to have more children. I know we at least want to have one more, maybe more than that, but I just pray that in your timing you would let that happen and that you would show us when it's time for that. So I was just kind of being very honest and with the Lord in my walk, and just kept going, and got home eventually, and then I just again had this random thought, I think I have a new pregnancy test in the bathroom, and I'm just gonna run in there and take it real quick. And there was probably 0% of me that thought it would be positive, and I'm being completely honest with you, because I was I'm just probably a few days late. It's probably gonna start today or tomorrow or something. But Matt has never liked it if I take a pregnancy test too early. He is always that's a waste of money. You need to just wait a week. And I'm no, I cannot wait a week. And so I just kind of slipped in there secretively. It's not good to keep secrets from your spouse, but I was I'm not going to tell him I'm doing this. I'm just going to slip in there. And I, in my brain, I was it's going to say negative, and then I'm just going to throw it in the trash and move on, and I'll probably start later today or something like that. That's literally what I was thinking. And so I came in from my walk. I went in to use the bathroom, grabbed that test out of the cabinet, and I took it, and I was sitting there, and it takes a few minutes or a few seconds or whatever for it to come up, but I was sitting there and looking at it, and it said positive. And I was I literally did that. I go, oh, and I said, oh my gosh. I could not believe it. I was shocked. And I've never been shocked to see a positive on a pregnancy test before, because with Maddie, we kind of knew that we were pregnant, and then with George, and then that one we lost in the middle, and then Benjamin, it was I knew I was going to see a positive when I took those tests. And so I was oh my goodness, I am pregnant. And so I took the test in to Matt, and I showed it to him, and I was look at this. And he was oh my God. He was what? Oh my gosh. And so anyways, that's how we found out. And so when I look back, I'm wow, here I was praying all along, Lord, I pray that you will show us when to open this door again. Please make it very clear to us. But I will say, I was having a little bit of anxiety even with that, because I was I know what happens when this door opens back up. Actually, I don't know what happens. There's a lot of risk when this door opens back up. Maybe all this therapy I did didn't work. Maybe I'm going to be a basket case again. Maybe I'm going to experience loss again. There's a lot of unknowns when this door opens back up. So I definitely had apprehension about it. And I think it's so neat that I got pregnant the way that I did, because I had no control. I wasn't, I think if I knew that we were trying to get pregnant, I probably would have started psyching myself out in some way, kind of okay, I'm going to take a test. Oh, is it going to say that it's positive? I think I would have, probably psyched myself out a little bit with the expectation of that. And, okay, we're doing this. But the fact that it happened the way that it did, and I was praying Lord, you're going to have to make it clear to us. Please just make it clear. And it happened by surprise for the first time in our marriage. I didn't think that I thought that our methods were very tried and true of birth control, and it happened by surprise. So that in itself was really, really cool. And I felt so excited. I felt so much peace. And I actually had an appointment scheduled with my psychiatrist for the next week, because again, I was still going through this counseling, and I was when I met with him, I was I don't think I need you anymore. I feel good. I'm I'm in the moment. I'm in pregnancy again, and I'm feeling good. My brain, everything is good. And that pregnancy was really, was totally different, which is just a testament to that therapy really helped me big time. And I think Matt said that in our last episode. He was it really helped her, because she was a totally different person. But anyway, so let's fast forward. Matt and I were convinced that we were having a girl. Okay, so we had already had 3 boys. I think every single one of our pregnancies, honestly, starting with Maddie, we're like, it's a girl. We've always been like, it's a girl, it's a girl, it's a girl. It's never a girl. So this is like baby number 4. So we're like, it's a girl. Like, we know it. You know, we knew it, and we've like already had this name for a girl, and we were convinced. But one day I was riding down the road early on in my pregnancy with Wilson, and I was like, if it's a boy, I mean, I know it's not going to be a boy, but if it's a boy, you know, we love family names, and we love naming our children something that means something and that is significant. And a lot of our names have been family names, and so we love that. Names are really neat to us. And so I was like, if it's a boy, but I know it's not going to be a boy. But if it's a boy, I really like the name Wilson Sanders. Now, Wilson is my given middle name. It's a family name on my side of the family. Like, I've got cousins and uncles, and everybody's got that name Wilson. It's a family name on that side, and it also happens to be my given middle name at birth. Was Frances Wilson Calloway. Anyways, and I've always gone by Sissy. But so I was like, I really like that name Wilson. And then my dad's middle name is Sanders, and so I was like, that's a beautiful name. Like, and so I told Matt, I was like, hey, you know, if we have a boy, what do you think about the name Wilson Sanders? I mean, we know we're not going to have a boy. We're having a girl this time. But if it's a boy, do you like that name? And he was like, yeah, it's pretty cool, I guess. You know, yeah, it's all right. And I was like, okay, well, cool. And so, you know, we went on, and then we did like the early gender reveal blood test at like 10 or 11 weeks. And of course we were just like, you know, it's going to be a girl. Like, we know it. Well, we found out the gender, and what do you know? Those little rockets shot off, and they were blue. And we were like, what? Like, we were so stumped. We were so stumped. And even when we got home after we shot those rockets off, it was so weird because we were in our house, and Matt and I were both completely silent. And I knew, like, I was kind of mulling it over in my head, like, what? Like, this was supposed to be a girl. Like, this was a girl. What? And Matt was doing the same thing. We were both not talking, and it was just this weird thing where, like, we were both just trying to process that. And I think it took me longer than him. But anyway, so about a week passed. And I was just, again, I said this in a few episodes ago, I think, but I was just kind of in the back of my mind, just kind of praying about that, like all week long, and just kind of like, Lord, I thought this was a girl, and are you sure? Wasn't it supposed to be, you know, even like, wasn't it supposed to be a girl? Which that's just like a dumb thing to say. Like, no, it was not supposed to be a girl. It was supposed to be a boy. It is a boy. But I was just kind of almost like, in a way, like questioning him. Like, are you sure? Is that right? Is that what you meant to do? Are you sure? You know, and just kind of like thinking through that. And then I was also doing this thing with his name. Because after we found out that it was going to be a boy, I said, so, you know, you think his name is Wilson? Matt was like, yeah, that's good, I guess. And he was like, but that name doesn't really, like, mean anything. Like, what does Wilson even mean? Like, it doesn't even have any, like, you know, and I'm just like, I know. I mean, so, okay, so then that's going on in the back of my head, too. I'm like, Lord, is this baby Wilson? Like, are we supposed to name him Wilson? Is there another name that you have for him? We can change it. Was that my idea to have a son named Wilson? Like, you know, what is his name? Is his name supposed to be Wilson? So I'm having this dialogue constantly for about a week, and this was wound up being around the 4th of July. So in 2023, 4th of July, we were going to some friend's house at their lake house. And we were driving there, and on the way there, I just started telling Matt, I was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I've just been kind of struggling this week I'm just like, something is off. Like, I feel like we were supposed to have a girl. And I'm just kind of battling with this. And then I'm also like wondering if his name is supposed to be Wilson. Like, did we just pick that because we liked it? I'm just kind of talking to him about that and just being vulnerable and like letting him in on like, hey, this is what I've been kind of mulling over this week. And so, anyways, we get to the lake house, and what do you know? I go into the bathroom and I have started bleeding. And I'm at 13 weeks. And again, here we are. Once you get to that 13, 14 week mark, you can no longer miscarry at home. It becomes a hospital experience. And let me tell you, when I say like I went into the depths of despair and the pit, I did. And it was not pretty. It was not good. I was not okay. Because I was like, there is just no way that this is happening again. There is no way. And that was really, really hard. Because, that was honestly, we were there for the 4th of July and we were there with a bunch of friends, but that was an awful weekend. I was straight up not okay. And because it was a holiday weekend, I couldn't call my doctor. We were out of town, so it's not like I could go in and have her do an ultrasound real quick. But I was like, oh my gosh, like, just when you've been through that, like the slightest thing is like, it's happening again, So I was like, oh my gosh, it was so bad. So anyways, we shared with our friends like, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's going on right now, just so you guys can know where we are. And then that night, they, because they had really walked with us through losing George and losing Benjamin, they were like, well, let's just get together and like, we just want to pray for you guys. So we're just going to spend some time praying and praying that the baby's okay and that, the Lord would help you have peace through this and all of that kind of stuff. And so we sat down in their living room and, each couple went around and prayed for us. And I remember, this one friend of ours was praying, and I don't even really remember what he was praying, probably because I was I was on the bad struggle bus. But while he was praying, this was not on my mind. Again, I was on the struggle bus. And what happened was crazy. So, and again, if you're not a Christian or you don't believe in the Lord speaking to us, I don't really know what to tell you because this is the only way that I know how to describe what happened. It was a truly supernatural experience that I did not conjure up in my own brain. But what happened was it literally felt like something came like this at me. It was felt like it came from above and it like hit me. Okay. And this is what I heard. It was my will that you would have a son, and you have named him right. His name is Wilson. So I'm going to say that again, because sometimes when I share this story, people are like, huh? Again, this did not come from me. This is what I heard while that friend was praying. It was my will that you would have a son, and you have named him right. His name is Wilson. And I just kind of sat there and, they were still praying. And when they got done, I said, while y'all were praying, I heard this. I heard this. But so I don't know if, as listening to this, if you're hearing that, but what were the two things that I was mainly struggling with? God, are you sure that it was your will that I didn't have a girl? I was supposed to have a girl here. And the Lord said, no, it was my will that you have a son. And oh, by the way, Sissy, what was the other thing I was struggling with? What we had named him, Wilson. You have named him right. His name is Wilson. Wilson. It was my will that you would have a son. The word will, like it's God's will that we would have a son. Wilson. So that hit me that night, and I was like, whoa. I mean, okay. But still, I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, God doesn't owe us anything. Like, sure, I'm pregnant with another son, and his name is Wilson, but like, that doesn't mean that he's going to live. And so, I mean, that weekend it was hard. It was so hard, even though I'd felt that, like, the Lord had really spoken to me about, hey, it was supposed to be a boy, and you've named him the right name, and you will remember always that it was not my will that you have a daughter. It was my will that you would have a son, and you have given him the right name. His name is Wilson. I willed that you would have another son. So isn't that amazing? I hope that you can hear that. I replay it if you can't, but that was just, I mean, I was like, bah, my head just kind of exploded. So we got back from that weekend. We made an appointment to go in, and I was pretty nervous. I was like, are we going to hear a heartbeat? You know, I was a little bit unsure. And we went in, and I think I was around 13, 14, maybe 14 weeks by now, and we heard one. We heard a heartbeat. Praise God. He was alive. And really from that point on, I knew, like, okay, this is done, and I am going to choose to walk by faith the rest of this pregnancy. Like, I know what I heard when our friends were praying for me, and I didn't make that up. And every time I would go back to what I heard the Lord say, there was just so much peace that filled my heart, because I was like, I wasn't thinking that. I would never have come up with that. There is no way. But it's so neat because, like, the Lord, he knows how to speak to us with what our hearts need. Like, he knows how to communicate with us. And for me, like, with what he said to me, that encompassed everything that I needed to know. It was not supposed to be a girl. I've heard your prayers. You keep praying about this. You keep talking to me about it. It was not supposed to be a girl. It was supposed to be a boy. I gave you a son, and I've also given you his name. And I want you to remember that this little boy, was my will. He was my will to be here. My will, God's will. And that was just, and I remember in those days thinking, gosh, I'm going to be able to look at him as he gets older and tell him that story. And no matter what Wilson faces in life, maybe he's going to face insecurities. Maybe he's going to be a little child that feels insignificant. I hope not, but who knows what he'll face. He might face struggles that Maddie, as this confident little fiery warrior, doesn't face. Maybe Wilson is going to face different things, and I will, as his mother, need to look at him and say, no, you, little boy, are God's will. You are supposed to be here. God has a purpose for you. You are God's will, like he willed you into being, but you are God's little will. You're his little Wilson. You are supposed to be here. And so anyways, that kind of concludes, again, I went through the pregnancy. I was pretty solid from there on out of like, no, this is going to happen and this is going to be good. And this little baby's going to be here with us. And he was born, and he has been a sweet little angel blessing. He's got blue eyes and blonde hair. The blue eyes part shocks Matt and I all the time because we both have brown eyes and we're not expecting to have a blue-eyed child. But part of me just thinks that's like a little God wink from the Lord, being like, he's just a little angel, like a little cherub, like, just these little sweet little angelic clear blue eyes that are just kind of shocked us that we have a child that has those bright blue eyes. But anyways, so that is my story with with Wilson. And that concludes our journey from start to finish so far in life. Okay, so far of what we've walked through. with pregnancy loss and then with that rainbow after the storm, concluding with Wilson. And so I hope that you have enjoyed this. Again, I've said this through the last few episodes, but if you know anyone who needs to hear our story, please feel free to share it with them. Our hope is that through sharing this, like God's hope and his encouragement and life can be spread to many, many people through this. So that concludes this episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.